Oh my goodness, look at me. Foxwoods. Don't look at me. Hold on. My hair is just like, look at it. I have too much hair. Let me put a little bit up like this and see if that improves the situation. I have just come back from doing some exercises at the gym. So any makeup that I had has sweated off. Any shame I have in the way that I look has disappeared. And I've been wanting to talk to you for like so long. And I don't know where the last 10 days have gone. Happy birthday, Fox. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. You don't need to hear me sing. Happy birthday, Fox. I know that your birthday is somewhere in May. I know that it's kind of later than the 5th, but sooner than the 26th, although sometimes I think it might be the 28th. I know it's in there somewhere. So, you're one of the few people I actually remember sort of when your birthday is. Excuse me for forgetting to tick the box on the Amazon order saying gift. I hope you just ignored all the paperwork that came with the books that I sent you. I chose the books. I've got them written down here because I can't remember anything. Kirsten Sveg, let's call her Sveg, because that sounds so much better than Svig, which I think is what her name is. Kirsten Sveg is someone I follow on Instagram. I really enjoy her paintings, and I thought that you would too, because when we did that sketchbook school together, you seem to really enjoy the surface design, and I think of Kirsten's work as sort of surface design, pattern sort of stuff. So I thought that you would enjoy that. Plus, isn't it just a beautiful book? I've ordered it for myself as well. So it's for some reason, although Australia's further away from where it's being posted, there's more direct traffic, so I actually have to wait longer, so it goes round the long way to New Zealand, but it's coming to me. I also ordered the Danielle Donaldson book for myself, so we're twinsies in the book department. Danielle was the artist who taught an online course that I did earlier this year. I can't even remember where I did it. I think it was on Udemy, udemy.com, but I should have looked it up for you, but there were things about that course that Danielle did that I really enjoyed, and some things that I really didn't enjoy. But the things I enjoyed about Danielle and her work, I thought you would too. And those things included the way she handles her watercolours. She really has really bright colours and lets the white of the paper shine through, and from what I've seen, she looks like she has a really light touch. I think she's really aligned with her medium. She also uses a bunch of things like white pens, and she uses a sewing machine to stitch bits of card, and she has a bit of collage and stuff like that, and her finished paintings are really attractive to me, and I thought that you might enjoy that too, see sort of a mixed medium. One of the things I didn't like about Danielle Donaldson was her massive number of colours, like that big wheel thing, and I think that it would be really easy to fall into the trap of thinking you need all those colours, because you really don't. But she mixes, some of the colours you really couldn't mix, like some of those turquoises she uses, you really need a tube of turquoise. Another one's violet. I find violet very hard to mix from a standing start, but you don't need like 60 different colours to be a watercolourist, that's for sure. But on the whole, I thought I had fun doing her class. It was something like think outside of the box, or get outside your comfort zone, or be creative, or something like that, and that was good for me. I really just copied her painting. but it was fun, you know. So I thought you'd enjoy those books. So I'm glad when I saw on Instagram that you were kind enough to say that you did. I hope you enjoy them. I was going to give you a pottery update too. It's going great. I think I told you that the pottery workshops that I'm doing is just like 4 weeks, 4 people. And we've already done 2 weeks. And so last Thursday night was my second night at pottery. And I had this feeling going to the class like I hadn't done my homework or hadn't revised or something, because we'd only done it the week before, you know, and I'm just like, I have no way of practicing. I spent a lot of time watching other people do it on YouTube, but you know, I didn't do it myself. But I'd improved, so maybe all that stuff had soaked in from YouTube into my hands or something. So just to backtrack, so 4 weeks. The first night we went, I had a couple of goals for this class because I don't want to be a potter. And I don't want a house full of pottery. But I had 2 goals. My one goal was to learn how to centre clay on a wheel, because I thought it was really hard. And the second thing I wanted to do was come away with a perfect coffee cup for myself. I'm really, that's easy because I don't even need a handle on my coffee cup. I'm quite happy to just hold it like this. So those are the 2 goals. Well, Eloise, our tutor, taught us to centre the clay on the first night. We didn't even have to sit through the history of clay through the ages or anything. We didn't have to do any hand pottery kind of warm up. We were straight on the wheel. I think I've told you this already, but straight on the wheel. And so when I went up second week on Thursday, I was worried that I hadn't practiced, but I was fine and I did better. Had more control, had straighter edges to my pot, you know, and I was really chuffed. There's actually something really nice about getting your clay centered. It's kind of like Zen or something. Not like ghost, like physics, says Eloise. But anyway, really enjoyed that and learning heaps. The exciting thing that happened today that has nothing to do with anything except for ages, in fact, all year I've been talking about my new kitchen. And through various reasons and stuff, it changed from being installed in February to being installed at the beginning of June. So on the 1st of June, my kitchen arrives. And on the 5th and 6th of June, it gets installed. I just can't even believe it's like a week, 2 weeks away, and I'll have a new kitchen. It's fantastic. Yesterday I bought a new stove. I don't really like spending that much money online. You know, I feel like I filled the form in incorrectly and whatever. Anyway, I didn't. Everything went fine, and hopefully that stove will be being delivered here before the kitchen goes in. So it's all go. It's absolutely all go. I'm so excited. Ages and ages and ages ago, when we were talking about, or I was talking about a big draw, going on a big draw on a Saturday, and we're called Urban Sketches Auckland now because we've been affiliated into the worldwide organisation, so it's no longer the big draw, though I'll probably still call it that. But you asked me to sort of show you how I do that kind of a drawing when I go on a big draw urban sketch thing, just the one that we go on the last Saturday of every month. And I thought that was a great idea and promptly stopped going to the big draw. I didn't go for 3 or 4 months or something, maybe even 5, I don't know, a long time. Anyway, I went for the last 2 Saturdays. It was a special occasion because there was a local community event, so we went along there to let people know how to do urban sketching and let them know that we exist if they want to come along and stuff like that. So it was very successful, but again, I didn't actually video anything for you. I'm sorry, but we had fun, and it it was quite nice drawing 2 Saturdays in a row, and I really stupid word, I really want to up my game in the drawing area. So I mean, it's really nice doing the art projects with you. That really helps so much. And then so with the urban sketches too, once a month, that helps too. But I just want to do a little bit more than that. So I'm going to look at what that means. I don't want to like dive in and draw every day and, you know, fail. So I'm going to carefully think about how I can introduce a bit more drawing, like proper drawing, through the month, because life's too short to not do what you like doing, and I like drawing, you know, and I'd like to be better at it. In a couple of days, I'm going to learn to use a 3D printer. There's this amazing space at the university that staff are allowed to use, and students too, and has a lot of equipment in it, like sewing machines and laser cutters and 3D printers and power tools and Arduino boards and Raspberry Pi and vinyl cutters, and I just can't think of the other things. It's just like blew my mind. Like I knew that it was there and I knew that it was amazing, but actually finding out the extent of what I have access to use was amazing. So you have to be trained on each of the material, each of the machines before you can use them. And I've reacquainted myself with soldering and did the laser cutter last week, and tomorrow on Thursday I'm doing the 3D printer, and I want to make a few things. So that's really cool. What else did I write here? No, that's all really. I can't just learn a new goodbye song either. So, nothing for you this week. No singing. I already did singing. I'm shutting my book. I'm closing everything. I'm going to render this video and go and have a shower because I'm stinky. Bye-bye, Foxwoods. Talk to you next week on my allotted day. Bye. So just one last thing in response to your last video. You showed a page of lettering that had been done in watercolour, and you wondered how the person who had done it so neatly. I think that was the gist of your question. You felt that the edges were really neat and the corners were really sharp, and you thought maybe the page had been made large and then scaled down for the book, and that would maybe be forgiving on the lines, and that's probably one way that they could do it, but I'm sure that it's way simpler than that, because I think if you use the right brush and you load it up with enough paint or water or medium, I think you can get a very straight edge, just like you can when you're painting wooden windows and you run your paintbrush along between the glass and the wood. You can get a very straight line, and you can do that very same technique with paint as well. So I thought I'd give it a go myself. So I grabbed 4 brushes, like a round brush and a square brush. They're quite soft bristles, a round watercolour brush, and one of those water brushes that has the water in the barrel and very crappy bristles, just to see how it goes. So I grabbed this kind of round nosed brush first, as soft bristles, and I'm using watercolour, and I've got the paint quite thick on my brush for this. And if you watch that, I load my brush up with quite a lot of paint, and then when I use the shape of the brush to create the line, and so the rounded tops of the letters is basically the rounded shape of the brush, and by pressing down on the brush, I'm using the sides of the bristles of the brush to create my straight lines, and they're quite straight lines. I have not done lettering like this before, so I'm not terribly fast at it, but I would imagine that you would get pretty fast, pretty darn quick at this sort of thing. And the lettering that you showed was quite non-uniform, like it was quite charming and different and looked obviously hand done. I had a go there with trying to make a very skinny looking pea, and I was able to do that. So then I thought I'd give a go with the square tipped brush to see if I could get straighter edges. And the thing with both the round tip that I just used then and this square tip is they actually don't have a lot of bristles, so they don't hold a lot of paint or a lot of water. But as you can see, I can get quite a straight line with that brush. It's a bit furry up the top, but I can correct that relatively easily. And I press right down on the barrel of the brush and really push out all the paint, and then I turn the brush around to get the square on the bottom of the A there. And I think that's pretty neat, really, for something that's hand done. It's not uniform. They certainly look homemade and charming, but it's certainly something that I think I'm achieving with the square brush in particular. And also you did mention the change in the darkness or the amount of pigment that was in the letter, and here I think I'm getting that by dipping my brush back into the paint while I'm doing the letter. I'm getting a real variation in the paint that I'm using. You can see the some parts of my M seem light and others have got quite a bit of pigment in them. I have no idea why I chose AMP for this particular demonstration, but using the square brush for thin letters I found really difficult, because as I come around the corner, of course, it works almost like a calligraphy brush because it wants to be fat, so I'm having to turn the brush itself. But so I don't know that in the case with your letters, I don't know how they did them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just painted the size that they ended up being printed, because I think with practice you can get a really nice straight edge, because if you use the brush will do all the work for you. See, this was very straight and neat on that P there. And I haven't sped this demonstration up either. This is like real time, so it's not, it's not taking too long, and I can imagine I'm getting really very fast at using this. So after using the round tip and the square tip, I thought I'd give the good old trusty watercolour round a go, and I really like the watercolour round because it's the one with lots of bristles, and it's the one that's going to hold all that water and all the pigment in the barrel of its bristles. And let's see how that turns out, given I have a lot of pigment and a lot of water loaded onto my brush. I'm not going to see how fat it is. It's like really fat, and I just like plonk it on the page and just push down and drag it out, and the only real wiggle there is my own hand that did it. Getting really nice straight lines there. Also, what's really nice is where I'm lifting the brush up at the end of my stroke, I'm getting really a sort of a dump of pigment, so it's really got a really dark colour there, and that will dry. Of course, it will all dry lighter because it's watercolour, but that dark pigment will be the darker part of the letters. Give it a bit of a wiggle, push that paint out, give myself a really nice round top to my pea. But I think the secret is you got to have a lot of water. It's holding a lot of pigment. Don't be afraid of that. Have a fat brush that's going to hold all of that water and pigment there for you, and then just go for it. Quite often in demonstrations online, people are using really tiny brushes, and I'm not quite sure how you do that. Tiny brushes. I have always used large brushes. Like my standard brush that I use for watercolour is generally the 8 there that you see me using, or it's a 20. I've got a 20, and the secret is to buy a brush that has a really good point, because if it's got a really good point, then it doesn't matter how fat it is, because you can use the point to go thinner. So it's just what I've always done. Having a go with these weird water barrel brushes. I'm really new to these, but I would imagine this would be the sort of instance, definitely in the example that you asked about, that this brush could be used, because it has tons of water available, and I've just actually drawn the A and then coloured it in, and that's getting that more of a funky look to it. And because the water's in there, with just a squeeze I can get more. I've got tons of pigment. Where's the pea? So it's very, like, once that, even that crappy paintbrush, like, it's a really crappy paintbrush on this water pen that I've got. It's like, was cost like $2 or something. It was like, it's pretty crappy, and but once it's loaded with pigment and water, it's actually got a nice shape, and it actually does the job that I want it to do, which is lay down water filled with pigment. It does a good job. So there's my crappy brush. My round was about a number 8 watercolour brush. The square brush, and I guess that's like an oval brush or whatever. And I hope this answered your question, Fox, and if it didn't, press back and tell me what you want to know, and I'll see if I know the answer. See you, bye.